Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Diana Emerson. Today, we're listening to Darkness in the Past.
Good evening, I'm Anthony Robart. This is Crime Beat, the stories behind some of Canada's most high-profile homicides, told by the reporters who walk the beat every day. Tonight, it's a case the victim's family calls a real-life horror show. Police and the public are scrambling to locate 2-year-old Haley Dunbar Blanchette.
She was smart, beautiful, the greatest child ever.
He knew that in that moment, the next words he said were going to change my life forever.
This is a sad day for the investigators, the citizens of Blairmore.
I'm having trouble holding together right now.
Crime Beat reporter Nancy Hicks takes you through one of the most disturbing cases she's covered.
It was a cool, late summer day in 2015 in the Rocky Mountains of southwest Alberta. 5 mining communities make up the Crow's Nest Pass, a nature lover's paradise with gorgeous views and amazing hiking, skiing, and snowmobiling. On September 14th, 2015, darkness overtook the pass. Just after 2 in the afternoon, an Amber Alert interrupted broadcasts and flashed on digital highway billboards.
Haley was abducted by an unknown person. The suspect's vehicle fled the residence west at a high rate of speed.
2-year-old Haley Dunbar Blanchette was missing from her home in Blairmore, Alberta, one of the towns that make up the Crow's Nest Pass.
As we do begin tonight with the Amber Alert that remains in effect across Western Canada and now into the States.
A huge police presence converged in the pass. It was like nothing people in the area had ever seen. Every tip needed to be followed up on to try and find Haley. Police canvassed the area where she lived with her father, Terry Blanchette. One of the neighbors told police he woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of someone walking outside. He saw a white commercial van sitting in the alley and heard a child's voice, and later watched the van speed away. Police reviewed CCTV surveillance video and were able to confirm there was a white van with a flag attached driving in the area. That sparked a manhunt. They were racing against the clock. Police believed Haley was taken at about 3:30 in the morning. That's about 11 hours before the Amber Alert was issued. Haley's father, Terry Blanchette, was the youngest of the 3 Blanchette children. Amanda Blanchette D. Stewart was the oldest and Terry's big sister.
Absolutely, I was the protector. I was fiercely protective of those boys. To the point that, I remember a kid in Sparta would want to beat Terry up, and I'm like, you're not going to beat, you touch one hair on his head. I just lost it.
They were a close-knit family, and Amanda has no shortage of stories about Terry.
Terry, I go back to the time, Terry was probably, he was a young teenager, and he played baseball, and we had to go to Pincher Creek, and my dad was gone for some reason, couldn't take him, asked me to take him. So we took my dad's car, and we went to Pincher, and on the way back, we got a flat tire. I remember this. And I'm like, I didn't know how to change it. I'm like, and this is when I decided, okay, I need to know how to change tires, right? Like, you can't be starting like this. But here's me and Terry, trying to change his tire. And he's like, oh, yeah, acting like I know what to do. Don't worry, and I'm way older than him. I'm 9 years older than him. And he's going to take care of this situation. And we can't figure this out, right? But we're trying, we find the jack and everything. But then, a man comes along and helps us out. And Terry's in there like a dirty shirt watching him, right? That's where I go. Just remembering, he was just trying to be the man, he's probably only like 13 maybe, and he's trying to take care of me. I'm like, no.
Amanda admits Terry wasn't always an angel, but when he became a father on New Year's Eve 2012, his little girl became his entire world.
He became truly an amazing father. He did what he set his mind to do, right? You know, and that was by telling me, Amanda, I want to be a dad like our dad.
Terry constantly posted selfies he took with Haley. He adored her.
That baby changed who he was. You know, it made him into a really good person, into a good dad. You know, he was so happy with his little girl. You know, she was the light of his life. She was his angel, truly. You know, and I was proud of the person he became.
Amanda remembers September 14th, 2015, like it was yesterday. She was at work when she learned Haley was missing, and it was only when she arrived home her father explained what had happened.
There was that one moment, you know, when I had asked my dad about the body, not knowing, only thinking Haley was missing, when he didn't answer me. And I understood why he didn't answer me, why it took so long for him to answer me. It was because he knew that in that moment, the next words he said were going to change my life forever. And they did.
And he said to me that Haley has been abducted and Terry was murdered. And I literally feel like it jumped out of my body because they hit the ground. I think I was screaming. I was crying. I remember thinking my dad could fix this. I'm like, you've got to fix this because this isn't real. This isn't true. You can fix this. So just fix this. Yeah. Yes, my world changed forever.
It was his father, Bill Blanchette, who found Terry murdered in his own home. He had stopped by Terry's house that Monday morning when he didn't get a response to calls or texts. Bill Blanchette knocked on his son's door and yelled out Terry's name. There was no response. He sent another text and called one more time. Still no answer. Terry's father went into the home. He found his son lying in a pool of blood in the bathroom. Terry's throat had been cut. There were drag marks leading to Terry's bedroom. That's where it appeared the initial attack happened. Bill was frantic. He started searching for his granddaughter. There was blood in her crib and on one of her dolls. But Haley was nowhere to be found.
Coming up after the break, with Haley Dunbar Blanchette still missing, police worked around the clock to locate the van wanted in the Amber Alert. Welcome back. The Amber Alert for Haley Dunbar Blanchette continued while police searched for the van identified in the Amber Alert. We now return to Nancy Hixt with Darkness in the Past.
The white van wanted in the Amber Alert turned out to be a familiar sight in the Crow's Nest Pass. Even though it's a small community, this type of van is pretty common and a lot of businesses use them. One of them is a local dry cleaner, Prestige Cleaners and Tailors, owned and operated by the Soretsky family. After seeing the Amber Alert, the Soretskys checked on the status of their vans. They realized one had been taken out without consent and then returned. The Soretskys called police, and investigators followed up on the tip and seized the van. They wanted to examine it for any possible clues in the case. It was later revealed there were blood smears in that van. And there was more. When police spoke to one of the owners, Larry Soretsky, they learned his son Derek had made some strange comments about the case. Investigators decided they needed to speak with Derek Zaretsky. They tracked him down at Prestige Cleaners, where his father encouraged him to speak with officers.
Just to let you know, Derek, that you have been identified as a suspect, okay, for Haley's disappearance and Terry's death. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Your dad just came up and talked to us. He's really concerned about you. Okay? Yeah, I'm concerned about my safety and all that. Can you help us find her, Derek? You know what happened to you? I feel comfortable saying that. Let's start with, is she alive? No, I don't think so. Is there a possibility she's still alive? Possibility, I guess. Derek, this is a serious investigation here. Someone's been killed, someone's been murdered, and we have a 2-year-old that we have to find. She's in heaven? How do you know that? Because her spirit's moving around.
Police arrested Derek Zaretsky. At 10 o'clock in the morning on September 15th, 2015, Zaretsky was put in a cell at the Blairmore RCMP detachment. All of this was happening behind the scenes, unbeknownst to Terry and Haley's family. They still held out hope Haley would be found safe. But just a day after the Amber Alert was issued, police revealed a tragic break in the case.
Good evening. We welcome in viewers from across our province tonight. After 2 days of holding out hope for Haley, we have the worst possible outcome. What so many feared is now a reality. The 2-year-old's body has been found not far from where she was taken in Blairmore early Monday morning. We begin with Nancy Hicks in Airdrie, where police confirmed this heartbreaking news a short time ago. Nancy.
I can tell you that everyone involved in covering this case is devastated by this news tonight. It was an extremely somber atmosphere at the Airdrie RCMP detachment as the RCMP superintendent updated this case for us tonight.
This is a sad day for the investigators, the citizens of Blairmore, and all the Canadians who hoped Haley would be found and returned unharmed.
That same night, a candlelight vigil was held for Haley in Blairmore. Haley's mother, Cheyenne Dunbar, attended the vigil with her mother. And that's where RCMP Victim Services told them Haley's remains had been found. The following day, Haley's mother, Cheyenne, put on a brave face and spoke to the media for the first time.
She was smart, beautiful, the greatest child ever. She never cried. She was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm going to miss absolutely everything. I'm going to miss her smile, the way she ran around saying mommy and everything. She was my baby. I don't know why anybody would do this to her.
Terry's mom and dad, Haley's grandparents, were also in shock.
We're going through hell. We're going through hell.
I'm having trouble holding together right now.
This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do my whole life. Hardest thing. You're not supposed to bury your son and your granddaughter. They're supposed to bury you. There's no words. There's no words to describe how we all feel.
On September 16, 2015, police announced 22-year-old Derek Zaretsky was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. But it was a third charge, causing an indignity to a body, that made everyone wonder what horrors Haley had faced.
We had been watching the news, and they were talking about indignity to a body. And I hit the ground again, I dropped to my knees. I'm like, what did he do to her?
Haley's mom, Cheyenne, told reporters she used to know Soretsky, but added she hadn't spoken to him in 3 years.
That was years ago. We were great friends. It tears me apart knowing friends would do something like that. And I don't know why anything of that would happen. I don't know why anybody would do that to her. I don't know why.
Coming up, nothing could have prepared the victim's family for the shocking details that would soon be revealed in this case. As the community tries to move forward and process this tragedy, we're getting a clearer picture of the man arrested for the horrible crimes.
Here's Nancy Hicks now with what we know, and the big question that remains, why?
It appears Soretsky doesn't have a previous criminal record, no history of violence. For now, RCMP investigators are not shedding any further light on this case, except to say Soretsky is an acquaintance of Terry Blanchette. Just days after he was charged, Derek Soretsky was rushed to hospital.
Global News has confirmed that Derek Soretsky attempted to kill himself yesterday morning in a provincial jail in Lethbridge. Nancy Hicks reports.
Soretsky was in custody at the Lethbridge Correctional Center when he attempted suicide. Sources say the 22-year-old tried to kill himself by hanging while left alone in the shower. Soretsky survived. He was put into a medically induced coma and remained in hospital for nearly a week. He was then returned to the provincial jail, where he was held in custody awaiting his trial. But the wheels of justice turned slowly, and there were still so many unanswered questions. How could this happen, and why Terry and Haley? Amanda, her family, and the entire community would have to wait nearly 2 years to get those answers. In June of 2017, a jury trial began in Lethbridge, Alberta, a city located about an hour-and-a-half drive east of the Crow's Nest Pass. And by then, Soretsky was facing another murder charge. He would stand trial for 3 counts of first-degree murder. He was now accused of killing Terry Blanchette, Haley Dunbar Blanchette, and also 69-year-old Hannah Mekatek, who was killed just 5 days before the other victims. Jurors heard graphic evidence against Derek Soretsky, including a videotaped confession. The day of his arrest, September 15, 2015, Soretsky was evasive with officers. So, police brought in an officer skilled in interviewing and interrogations, Sergeant Mike McCall.
Take me back to Sunday if you want, and let's just go through it and let's just take our time and we'll sort this out.
Sort it out. How can we sort this out?
By getting to the bottom of it and getting to the truth.
I honestly don't know what happened.
Quickly, but you did mention to your dad that you did something horrible and that the devil's talking to you or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
So
takes control of me.
Okay.
Sometimes, and I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't know how. I don't know. Even my dreams that I have are sometimes I don't usually have dreams, but I do sometimes. I'm just horrible, terrible dreams.
Okay. So let's explore that a little bit.
But Soretsky wasn't biting. The goal was to get him to tell police where they could find Haley, and quickly. The Amber Alert was still active.
And what brought you to Terry's house the other day?
I don't even remember going to Terry's house.
No.
I don't remember
What do you remember? Now's the time to have the courage, buddy. I know it's hard. But I know it's probably not something you want to remember, but I know you can remember it. You can remember some of it. But like I said, we'll work through it. But it's super important to have the courage now.
I didn't even do it.
What part didn't you do?
Any of it. God did it, not me.
Okay. Were you God's soldier? Or were you the devil's soldier that day?
No. God did it himself. As far as I'm concerned. I didn't even do it. I get blamed for everything that happens to me. The finger's always pointed at me. He did it. He did it. He did it. And I didn't do it. I didn't.
The voices you have, what do they say about Haley right now?
That she's in heaven.
Okay. And why do they say that? Like, do you have a vision of where she is?
In the stars with Jesus.
Okay. And did you help bring her there?
No, it's just what God tells me.
I'm not asking if you did it.
I didn't do it, so I can't tell you where she is. Because I didn't do any of it. I didn't do any of it.
The investigators aren't just guessing. That's you, right? You do realize that, right? They have the
They're what?
They're not guessing that it was you.
Well, then why am I here?
I'm saying they're not guessing because they have evidence, right? Their case is very strong. So it's not a shot in the dark. We didn't just grab you off the street and hope that it was you, right? Everything points to this, right?
I don't know. I didn't.
You're a hero. Is she alive, Derek, or is she dead? Look at me. Is she alive?
I'm alive.
Okay. It's okay. That's okay. Where is she, buddy? Where is she? Is she out in the cold or is she in the house somewhere? Derek? Is she out in the cold? Or did you put her somewhere in the house? Or a vehicle or what? She needs to come home. Look at me. She needs to come. Where is she, buddy?
Slowly, Zaretsky revealed shocking details about what he did to Haley.
The devil made me turn into ashes.
It's okay. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
This was the first time Zaretsky had expressed any real emotion.
How'd you kill her?
I killed her.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. The devil's a but not you. Okay?
It's like he chose me.
She suffered.
Coming up after the break, the accused killer returned to the scene of the crime. Welcome back to Crime Beat. We now return to Nancy Hickson and Darkness in the Past. But first, a warning. What you are about to see is disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay.
The officer convinced Soretsky to take him back to that spot in the bush where he killed the little girl. Soretsky got inside an unmarked RCMP SUV with Sergeant McCauley. He led them out of town, up a gravel road to a campsite in the mountains.
It's right there, all the vehicles that we from.
Police were already at the site. Just a short time earlier, officers were tipped off to investigate that exact spot by one of Soretsky's cousins. Told police he found something weird on the rural property that was owned by his family. Soretsky guided the officer to a campsite. There were a few picnic tables around a fire pit. Soretsky stood beside McCauley with his hands cuffed in front of him. He stared at the pit. It was still smoldering.
I started stocking the fire pile with books.
I need to warn you, details of what Soretsky said next are extremely disturbing. Soretsky said once the fire was raging, he choked Haley, and then he dismembered her little body. He drained her blood into a container and drank it, and he cannibalized part of her body. There was a pot on one of the picnic tables that had red stains on it. It was later swabbed and sent away for DNA testing. That came back as a match to Haley.
I thought it would be pretty healthy for me to do. I'd gain a little bit of strength.
Is this the first time you ever ate human?
Yeah.
Did you say any prayers or do any rituals or say anything?
I did a prayer. I did say a prayer.
What kind of prayer?
I don't know what the prayer was. God rest your soul.
Soretsky didn't show any emotion. He told the officer Terry had recently given him a dirty look and said he had feelings for Cheyenne. Soretsky said he found the young father asleep in bed. He hit him in the head with a crowbar, then choked him with some rope and cut his throat. He admitted he had planned to drink Terry's blood, but he couldn't find a good container. He then went upstairs and found Haley asleep in her crib. He put a pillow over her face so no one would hear her. He put her in the van and took her to the camp. Soretsky described how he burned Haley's remains, along with his clothes, the shoelace and the rope, and some of the other weapons he used. He then went back to his apartment, showered, and smoked some weed. Police spent 3 days sifting through the ashes seized from the fire pit. The embers were still so hot that one officer burned his hands as he worked to retrieve evidence. The RCMP set up a tent over the pit. Bone fragments and at least one tooth were found among the ashes. No DNA could be recovered from the bones, but one expert said with certainty it belonged to a child aged 2 to 4 years old. Investigators also found other items at the campsite that were swabbed and came back as a match to Haley. Jurors were also shown photos of the inside of Soretsky's apartment taken during the initial police search in 2015. His place was sparsely decorated and not very clean. There were knives throughout the apartment, on the floor, in the kitchen, in his closet, and in a dresser drawer. There was a coffee table with the words "one shot, one kill" etched on the top. The words, "This is not the end. Death is only the beginning," written in yellow paint. On the wall hung a calendar. The words "Set me free" and "Strength" were written over the first few weeks of September 2015. There was a pair of boots with blood on them. Police would later confirm it was Haley's blood. Investigators found an illustrated medical dictionary, books on serial killers and cannibalism, as well as a notepad with a list titled Medicine Fresh. At the bottom of that page were church times listing different dates and times, and there was a list of names: Hannah, Shy, or Cheyenne Dunbar, Terry, and the hideous baby.
Shy, Terry, and I remember crying. I'm like, how could you say that about her? Like, she was not hideous, and I was so upset. And I was crying. I remember crying to my dad that he had said this about Haley.
All of the names on the list had been crossed out. The only one who hadn't been murdered was Cheyenne, Haley's mom. This list was significant in the investigation. It made Soretsky a suspect in the murder of Hannah Mekatek. Hannah lived near Soretsky's grandparents. They were friends. Soretsky confessed to her murder 6 months after his arrest, during another interview with Sergeant Mike McCauley at the Calgary Command Center. Soretsky told McCauley he didn't have a reason to murder Hannah. Instead, she was the first person he ever killed.
Part of the reason practice for
Soretsky said he just went to Hannah's home and kicked the door, hit her with a baseball bat, stabbed her, and then left. Court found Hannah died from a combination of blunt and sharp trauma. Soretsky's defense didn't present any evidence during the trial. I'm sure you might be wondering why Soretsky's lawyer didn't argue he should be found not criminally responsible, or NCR, and bring up some sort of intent. There were 2 court-ordered psychiatric assessments, and it was determined he couldn't use the defense of NCR by reason of mental disorder. After 3 weeks of hearing graphic evidence, it took jurors just 3 hours to find Derek Soretsky guilty of all 3 counts of first-degree murder. He was given an automatic life sentence and handed consecutive parole ineligibilities. He can't even apply for release for 75 years. He was 97 years old at that time, which means there's next to no chance he'll ever be free again.
Now that justice has been served, how will the families move forward with the loss of their loved ones? Welcome back to Crime Beat. Haley and Terry's family will never recover the trauma caused by Derek Soretsky. But the impact of these horrific crimes has also devastated another family, one many people don't think of. Here's Nancy Guest with a conclusion of Darkness in the Past.
The day they laid their loved ones to rest, the victim's family met the killer's family.
When we buried Terry and Haley in the cemetery in Passburg over here, Larry Soretsky showed up, right? So I'm looking at this man, and he says to me, he's like, do you know who I am? I'm like, no, I don't. But, like, I remember this man, like, you could feel just the oddest feelings coming off him, like, and I didn't know what they were at the time. He's like, I'm Larry Soretsky. I'm Derek's father. And I hugged him because I knew immediately, I'm like, this man is hurt. You know, their son is still their son, and I understand that they love him. You know, that's your child. You love your children no matter what. This is not their fault. We don't blame them. You know, we blame Derek. You know, and like I said, something snapped in his head. Like, I really, truly believe that.
Derek Saretsky's actions have torn so many lives apart. So many people have pain that will never heal. That includes his own mother.
Every single day I wonder, is he still alive? Is he okay? Because he is my son and I'll love him beyond death. You know, no matter what he's done, it just, the love doesn't go away, especially when you share a heartbeat, you know?
It's taken years for his mother to work up the courage to sit down with me for a formal interview. It's obvious the events of September 2015 changed her life too.
My car window was smashed, my tires have been slashed, my doorbell was beaten in, people have broken in. You've gone through things and piled tires up to my window, my bedroom window, trying to get in, I think, I don't know. Some sort of feces thrown all over the house, on the outside. Taking my car. You don't know if these people are local or are they from out of town. Like if somebody could be so angry at me that it manifests into action. I'm terrified. I'm scared to leave my house.
Sherry wanted to tell me about the Derek she knew, the youngest of her 3 sons.
I think he was like 9.5 months when he started walking, which is way too soon. He was into hockey. He was a really good hockey player. And baseball. He made the all-star team. He used to, just out of the blue, bring me home the most beautiful cards to tell me how much he loved me. He'd leave me notes.
But as her son got older, he started acting out.
Derek started having trouble with anger issues and forgetting things and being tired all the time.
He got into drugs, was secretive, and wouldn't always come home. He quit high school. When Sherry pushed him about working or cleaning up, they would get into arguments, and then she wouldn't see him for weeks at a time. He would often stay in an apartment above his dad's family business, Prestige Cleaners and Tailors. Sherry would visit him there on occasion and said she remembers one day she saw a strange book on his coffee table.
The Illuminati. I have no idea what that is. I'm pretty sure it's bad. I asked him about it and he just would tell me, oh no, it's nothing, don't worry about it. And so I knew if I pushed, then we'd have an argument and it was better just to let things lie.
Then, in the summer of 2015, there was a dramatic change in her son.
He was going to church all the time. And I thought, finally, he's turning his life around. And we had conversations about God. I thought things were okay. I thought they were going to be okay.
On the evening of September 14th, the mother and son were hanging out together in her living room, each doing their own thing. She was watching TV. He was listening to something on his phone.
I was trying to watch my show And so he said, well, fine then, and he went downstairs.
They both went to bed. Everything seemed normal. Sherry was blindsided by what happened next.
That was September 15th, 2015. The police knocked on the door at 3:30 in the morning. And that's when my world fell apart. Before I went down to get Derek, they wanted to talk to both of us. And they said it's about that little girl that's missing. We're going door to door, asking anybody to help, you know. And so I went downstairs and told Derek what they'd said, and he said, okay, let's do this. And those words haunt me still today, because every time I hear them, it's like I'm right back at that moment again.
One of the hardest parts for Sherry is she has no one she can talk to who really understands what she's going through.
I have searched and searched and searched for support groups, or just somebody who understands to talk to, and I've not been able to find anything. I was really let down by that, but then there was this little voice in my head that said, it's you. It's you. I feel like I can't. I'm like shattered. I cannot do that. But maybe this is God's plan in it.
Sherry prays that one day she can help someone else in her same position.
Whether they've gone through it or may go through it in the future, I've learned a lot of things that could help people.
The families of the victims have an entirely different pain to deal with. For Amanda, her loved ones are gone, and time isn't making that any easier.
You know, like I remember I spent an entire weekend sitting at the table just by myself, just, you know, crying and being sad. And you can't do that, right? Like there are times and places for that, right? And like you said, you can't schedule it. You know, we have feelings for a reason. We do need to deal with them. But, you know, you just kind of have to focus on the positive. Like, you can't even tell you how much. You need to just try to stay away from the negative stuff, the bad stuff. Because it will rot your brain right out. If, you know, I sat here and thought about the way Terry died and the way Haley died and, you know, how scared she was. And, you know, I don't know if I would be able to survive this life. And I don't have a choice. I have children to look after. You know, I don't need to cause any more worry to my own parents, you know? So I just don't think about that. For me, it's important that they be remembered. Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm gasping because I can't picture Haley anymore. I can't remember her voice.
Amanda chooses every day to honor Terry and Haley by living life to the fullest.
You know, Nancy, there is a reason for everything. And, you know, I struggled with that for a long time, but I also realized, yes, everything does happen for a reason. It really, really does. And just because you don't know what the reason is doesn't mean there was no purpose behind it. At some point, you know, like maybe when I die or whatever, and I do believe in life after death, you know, we'll find out. But at that point, it's not going to be relevant. You know, they're in a better place. I truly, truly feel that. And, you know, you can't focus on things that you can't change. Because it'll eat your life away.
And when Amanda needs to see Terry and Haley, there's a special video she'll watch. Haley was just a baby when it was taken. She looked directly into her father's eyes and held his hands with her tiny fingers.
Really?